You are not the main character. In life, I truly believe that there are two stories that we all get to play a part in, right? There's our individual story, our path, the one that we experience through our own subjective reality. And then there's the grand story, the one that we experience with everyone else, the one that's connected to our objective reality. That being said, when I say that you are not the main character, I really mean in the objective story. The world doesn't revolve around you there. You share that reality with everyone else. Every single person culminating into one big story, one big theme of progress, of redemption, of change. Now, those of you guys might not know this about me that are watching for the first time, but I am a Christian. So I am of the belief that there is a main character to the story. Take a guess on who that main character is. But for the most part, when it comes to me and you, the person watching this video, we're all supporting characters, aiding in one amazing, beautiful goal, one amazing, beautiful story. And if you solely view yourself as the main character, not only in your subjective reality, that's going to come with a lot of different dangers to it. Now, what do I mean when I say dangers? I really just mean the roadblocks that happen in your life will be amplified. The roadblocks that'll happen in your life will seem much bigger than they actually are, much more dramatic. And you won't be able to play a part in a story much bigger than yourself. Or rather, you won't be able to focus on it. Now, what do I mean by this? When I say your problems will be amplified, if you view yourself as the sole focus of reality, everything that happens to you will cause all of reality to crumble. Because let's face it, guys, humans are pretty brittle beings. Humans can only take so much before it turns into some type of trauma, before it turns into some type of, anger, or before they give up. We can only take so much. And so if our world revolves around us and we don't tap into that grand story all around us every once in a while, I truly believe that's the recipe for our demise. Because as soon as something shakes in our world, the whole world will feel like it's shaking. Hence why I said all of your problems will be amplified. Now, earlier on in the video, I said I was a Christian. And with that, I think that there's a very interesting story in the Bible that kind of talks about this problem. And that's the book of Job. Even if you're not a Christian, I think that you should read the book of Job because it's just valuable literature written thousands of years ago that I truly and honestly believe gets at the heart of what I'm describing in this video. And that's just the fact that you are not the main character. Yes, of course, in the story of Job, Job is the main character in the story, right? He's who we put our focus on. But in the story, I believe that Job is learning the lesson that he's not the main character. That the whole world doesn't revolve around him and him only. That all of the pain and all of the suffering and all of the tribulations that come his way throughout the story have nothing to do with him and him alone. That's what I think God was trying to tell him at the end of the story. He was essentially just like, hey, bro, look, you're asking why all of this is happening to you, right? Because for those of you guys that don't know the story of Job, it's the story of, a guy who is pretty wealthy. He loses everything and he suffers and suffers and suffers. And at the end of the story, he finally gets that conversation with God to where God is like, hey man, look, I know you're asking why all of this is happening, but let me show you how much bigger this world is than just how you're seeing it, than just how you feel about it. Let me show you that myself. Look at the stars in the sky. Look at the behemoths in the water. Look at them on the land. Don't you notice that this has so much bigger implications than just the pain that you're facing? And I think that that is how we should go about our own lives. Every once in a while, sure, it's okay to view ourselves like the main character because it gives us a sense of agency to take action, to stop sitting on our butts, to stop letting our lives pass us by, to take priority about the way that we feel about things and go about things. However, we should always be willing to tap in to the greater narrative that's happening. It'll help us be more humble. It'll help us serve our neighbor. It'll help us love our neighbor and so much more. Speaking of love, I wanted to touch on that really quick. If you are the main character of reality, there's no way that you'll ever be able to truly love someone. Because in order to love someone, you have to see their story just as important as yours. And for those of my Christian brothers and sisters and everybody watching this, what does the Bible say? It says that you should love everyone. You know what I mean? It says that you should give the same significance to them that you should yourself. And that is pretty impactful, especially coming from old, middle earth or you know what I mean? Like the Middle East, like the ancient world. The art of decentering yourself is so unique, especially back then. You know what I mean? And so, in order for somebody to love, they have to take themselves out of the main character seat and support someone else. Which is why instead of calling yourself a main character, you should be willing to every once in a while step into the supporting role. So you might be asking yourself, Fitz, if I'm not the main character, then what am I? Who am I? Listen, at the end of the day, I truly believe in my heart that we're all a part of one divine play. Each of us doing our best to get the most out of our role. Each of us doing our best to achieve our destiny, to contribute to the play at large. And so, to be honest, I think we're all actors. We're all supporting actors in one divine play. That's the way I see it. I don't know if you can say the same. But regardless, whatever the case may be, you will be benefited greatly by decentering yourself as the main character. More on this topic later, but if you enjoyed this video, please give some of my other videos a watch. But until then, I love you. Thanks for watching. God bless. Peace.